What's up, everybody? Welcome back. New week, new job to do. We're going to tackle this roof. It's not as bad, but it still needs some work. The whole main process is trying to learn how to get these dents out with using the minimum amount of filler. I think I said most there, but definitely the minimum amount of filler. So get these dents out. Learn how to shrink this. There's not even a skin, like a second skin in it, so that'll be interesting to do. But yes, we're gonna try get this sanded back tonight. We've got these purple paint stripping pads. These are pretty damn good. They don't affect the metal anyway in there. They get through the paint really well. So we've got a few to get through. They are used, but still plenty of life left in them. So let's crack on and see how fast we can get this paint off. We've managed to get through that in about 45 minutes, so that is pretty damn good. Used the paint stripper disc, as I said before. Fantastic bit of kit. I did have a few like breathers within 10 minutes, but I was just setting myself targets, covering that area, getting that done, see how fast I got that done, and then jumping on the next area. And honestly, it took about 45 minutes tops. So I think that is pretty damn good for one of these discs, and it was half used as well. Happy days with that. Anyway, right, back to the roof. We have sanded this little area here just to give you a little insight of where the dents are. We're going to try and hammer and dolly them out first. I'm still not really familiar with the hammer and dolly, but I've watched a couple of videos, so hopefully I'll get the hang of it pretty good. And for the loose roof, as you can see there, this is sort of what we're up against underneath. Well, I've got a brace in the middle, and we haven't got anything there, so I don't know if these come as standard as just one brace in the middle. I've been told that we're only supposed to have one brace in the middle, but I'm trying to get some braces, and then I'm going to spot weld a brace up there and a brace over there. So hopefully that will solve the loose roof. I don't really see the point in trying to shrink it because it's still got its shape. I don't really want to try and fix something that's not broken. If I can just strengthen it, I'm pretty sure that will fix the problem. So we're going to crack on, try and hammer these out, see how they look. Right, so I think I've just fluked this because these two dents no longer exist. Pretty shocked, to be honest. Come out really well. Right, so we'll see if that was a fluke, and we're going to try and get this one out here. Went good and not so good at the same time. So with these two, I was pretty happy with the result. As you can see, we've got just a little bit of a high spot, but I'm going to try and shrink these down tomorrow. And I got a little bit too cocky and ended up with a bigger high spot in this one here. So as you can see, that's it there, and I'm trying to hammer it down, and I think I've just stretched it too much. So tomorrow we're going to learn to shrink that back down. This side, pretty good. Didn't want to go over the top and try and knock it out, but There's very little in that, and that was the aim, to try and get the minimum amount of filler in this with this full skim that we're going to be doing on the roof. But yes, we need to get this shrunk back down and then see how it's looking after that. So let's crack on. Well, we didn't get the little bump that we made back to its original form, but we will get on that later on through the week. But last night we went up with a lad called Bossy's, probably about 20 mile away, and he has sorted us out with 2 centre braces. So thanks very much, mate, if you ever watch this. Even give us something out. This is what the car community is all about. I did say I'll pay you, but he was like, no, just have them. So thank you very much, mate, for them. I really, really appreciate it. So this is what we're going to do. So we've got one already in here, and as you can see, there's a little ridge in the framework here. There's a ridge there. So we're gonna put our new brace in here like that. And we're gonna make some little L pieces in there to drop down there to the side of the frame, and then this little hole here will give us access to put a clamp in there to spot weld them in. And then we're going to use some flexible sealer on the top to seal the top. The one at the front is a little bit more difficult. We're going to have to put a notch in the frame here and then put a hole in there so we can get access to the clamp, so we can get the spot welds in. But yes, we're going to get one in here as well, and then that, I think, will make the roof solid. So there's technically nothing wrong with what it is. It's just a big amount of metal with no framework, no supports. So it's gonna have some flex in it. So yeah, that's the job. So let's crack on and get it done. Braces all sanded back last night. They've turned out pretty good. There was no heavy rust in there. There was a couple of little pit areas, but we managed to dig it out with a wire wheel. If you're going to use one of these, hold on to the grinder because they're absolutely vicious. And then we've got the rest with a paint stripping disc. Then we've treated them with a Hydrate 80, the rust barrier system. Pretty good stuff as well. But we have come across another problem. As you can see, these L-shaped brackets that are supposed to go behind the frame. Well, it is physically, let's get settled. Right, so it's physically impossible. So once we get that into there, to get that section in without doing any major damage to the roof. It's just not worth it. So what we're going to do is we're going to notch that little bit out there so we've got the flat surface, and then we're going to stick the brace on, just temporary, with some tape, and then make with L-shaped pads to go on the front. But we're still going to spot weld them, but we're going to spot weld it from the front. So let's crack on and get some cutting done. To get these cut out, we've getting the other side done as well, but I didn't want to bore you with that. Now we need to make a hole in here with a nice little curve, both sides, same with that side, make it look factory so we can get the clamp in and get these secure for when we spot weld them. So let's crack on, get them cut. Bummer, we've ended up running out of the ends for the Dremel, but what we're going to do next is we're going to sand the inside of here. There is quite a little bit of surface rust on there, but everywhere else looks pretty good. So we're going to get some paint stripping discs on that, get it treated, and then get the whole lot into the epoxy. And we've managed to get all the epoxy on the inside of the roof. We rolled it on. Yes, you heard it. We rolled it. It just saved any mess, any masking up, any overspray. It's done just as good of a job. It did nearly dissolve the roller, but it is on. So next, we're going to make some L-shaped brackets, and then them will be spot welded into the side of the framework. So let's crack on and get some welding done. We've got the braces all done, all the welds are done on the outside. Just made some new little L-shaped brackets. They're ready to go in. There is one in the car, as I'll show you now of how it's going to sit. So the spot welds will be going in there like that. But I'm not entirely convinced that this is going to fix the loose roof. So we're just going to have to suck it up, get the blowtorch out, and learn how to shrink it. I've never done anything like this before, so I could potentially make it even worse than what it is. I was a little bit too stupid with a dolly and hammer as well, and I've created like a bump here, so we need to shrink that back down. I did put a couple of spots of welds on it last night just to see how it would react, and this part here is a lot tighter. As you can see, look, it's loose there. Me putting quite a bit of force on that there, so I think we'll get it better if we shrink it. So let's crack on, see how it goes. I think we're getting it. We're still obviously going to push it in, but that's me forcing myself on it. That's a good bit of weight with my hand there. We're getting that as well, sorted that out, so happy days with that. And it was a bit loose around here as well, so whew, yeah, I think we're getting it. So right, let's get these braces into the epoxy and in the roof. So I think everything's ready. We've made some little C-shaped mounts. That's just to hold them in place with a bottle jack, and we're going to use the Sika structural adhesive to bond them to the braces. So let's crack on and get them in. So what feels like an absolute piss take of a job, we've finally got the braces in, and this is just feeling so much more secure. And these are the little devices keeping them where they need to be. Genius. And we've got the little factory overspill sealer going on. I was going to mask it off, but you're never going to see them, but it looks all right. We still need to spot weld them, but we're just going to give this about 2 or 3 days to properly cure. We still need to do the top one, I mean the one in the middle, but I didn't want to do that until I got them 2 in place, so I didn't lose the actual shape of the roof. But once we get all these spot welds done, then we can tackle the middle. Then we'll get on, we're getting this nice and fresh. So hope you enjoyed the video. See you next week.